Alfie, just move your mouth for me. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chaser. No, it's not. I just need to come back in front of the camera. Alfie! Right, I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Thank you for watching. We're at Twickenham, and you're going to see a fair bit of this guy the next couple of months, because he's going to be my wingman in France, basically, aren't you?
That's the plan, yeah.
And fellow YouTuber and fellow TalkSport colleague as well, Alfred Reynolds is the channel you should go and check out.
Yeah.
I thought, whilst we've got a little bit of time, I'm waiting to talk to Kevin Simfield. We should just chew the cud now. We've had a bit of time to let the England squad settle. What's your overwhelming feeling?
Overwhelming feeling is probably about what we expected. I think the overall reaction to the squad more generally is going to be quite negative, and
Why do you think that is?
I think partly because of the way England are playing, and what we saw in Cardiff didn't help that at all, and also because I think we kind of know how Steve Borthwick is going to set up this team, and at the moment he's trying to set it up in a certain way and also not getting results. But I think people aren't that enamoured with the style of rugby that they're trying to play, the fact that they haven't got results as well, and then that exacerbates selections, which we probably won't get into too much now because we already knew they were going to happen. But no Zach Mercer, no Alex Mitchell, players like that people feel should absolutely be part of the squad that aren't. It probably makes them feel more annoyed about that. But what about you? Were you kind of similar, or?
Yeah, I guess the Henry Slater mission was the big headline one.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise. But what I think is more interesting is what that means. So there are 3 centres in the squad: Ollie Lawrence, Manu Tuolangi, Joe Marchant. I'm fine with all of those 3, but there are only 3. So I read one of a couple of things into it, and I want to know what you think. Which is it? England go in route 1, Tuolangi Lawrence, or Owen Farrell as a 12?
Well, I think you look across the squad more generally, and it is a squad which is versatile, because you could also throw in, and I don't think we'll see him at 13, but Elliot Daly as a possible
I agree.
option
I don't
as
think
well.
we'll see. Well, we may see that against Chile, or but not against Argentina or Wales or Australia or whatever.
Yeah. So I think
if we get there, not taking it for granted.
I think there's part of me that, almost doing the whole fantasy rugby thing, would love to see Lawrence and Tuolangi, but I think it's probably a little bit too one-dimensional. So I think possibly Owen Farrell. But actually, as I say, what it screams to me is a squad which has a number of players that can play different positions. Even if you look at the back 3, there's Max Malins, who can play fullback. Anthony Watson can play across there. You've got guys in the back row that could possibly fit in at number 8, because there's no cover for Billy, which we could get onto. Ludlam, Earl, exactly. George Martin, Atoje, possibly 6s as well. I think that's a partly reflection in 2 things. Number 1, it's concussion, and the stand-down period at this World Cup will have a bigger impact because players could miss more game. And the other thing as well, if we look at the Scotland game at the weekend and Xander Fagerson, you get a clear out wrong, you're looking at a red card. Players are going to miss games that way because of the way in which...
So if there's a concussion and you can't replace a player with an... Can you replace a player? I'll have to check this.
I think you have to check it. I think you possibly can with concussions, but then you've got to call players out and things like that. And then with red cards, I believe it's only, you can possibly call someone else out, but you have to remove someone else from the squad. We have to probably check the details. But either way, I think those 2 things are a big reason for you look at a lot of players in Steve Borthwick's squad, and there is versatility to cover possible situations like that, would be how I would read it. But what was yours on the centres?
I've been calling it on the channel, as again, look at the videos I've been saying for months, and people have been going, no! Owen Farrell, 12.
And George Ford, 10?
And George Ford, 10. Ford, Farrell, Tuolangi, or Ford, Farrell, Lawrence, probably. Well, but I actually think those are the 2 ways he set up. You go Tuolangi and Lawrence. I think that'll probably be what they play against Argentina. But I think against another team, maybe against an Australia or someone like that, you'll go Ford, Farrell. I think those are the 2 ways Steve Borthwick's going to play. Another interesting, and let me know in the comments, what do you think? But what I also think is the back row is an interesting one, like you say. And this is where I go, make it make sense. Alex Donbrandt, given the whole 6 Nations, and then binned. Billy Vunipola, given none of the 6 Nations, dropped, rumours of a fallout, and then he's in. And the same goes with Danny Kerr. The same goes with George Ford's back. Well, no, actually, Steve Borthwick brought him back straight away. Who else? There's another one. Player that was brought in and then has just been cast aside.
Johnny Hill? Or Johnny Hill's been in and out, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been in and out. But there's a few players like this where you look like, oh, well, that's it, they're gone, their chance is gone, and then and they're in.
Yeah.
And players that were given the time and space to play have now been... That's the bit where I kind of go, it doesn't feel like it's all on their own terms. It feels like a bit reactive rather than this is all by design.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. The big thing actually when I look at the forwards is probably number 8 and hooker. in that
Hooker worries me big time.
Hooker, if Jamie George goes down, you've got a massive drop-off in experience, and I don't think it's unkind to say quality as well. I love Theo Dan. I think his all-round game is brilliant. I think there are question marks about him.
He's played 26 minutes.
He's played 26 minutes, and I think there's question marks about him in terms of what he does to your front row, because he's a smaller body. Jack Walker, who has never really seemed to be particularly in favour for England. He hasn't played much minutes. I know he's got a few caps, but it's been off the bench here and there. So Hooker's a massive issue. And number 8, I think, is the other one, because if Billy goes down, his fitness hasn't been great recently. I don't know how much minutes they're going to get out of him. Having no specialist cover there, that's where I would have thought maybe Tom Willis comes in.
Well, I actually think if I were picking the team, what would your back row be for Argentina?
I think it's going to be, for Argentina, I think you're going to go Laws, Curry, Vunipola.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably what will happen. I would go Laws, Willis, Curry.
Yeah, okay.
I would
play Curry at number 8.
I would play Curry at number 8.
Yeah, which we've seen before. And Ludlam, I think, is the other guy that could play there. Ben Earler, probably a stretch. I don't think we'd see him there, but is an option as well.
One more question. Is Steve Borthwick Eddie Jones 2.0?
Well, he coached under him, didn't he? So maybe.
He was forwards coach at the last World Cup.
That's kind of the problem, though, for England, isn't it? In that Steve Borthwick has been dealt a rough hand anyway, because he came in 8 months out from a World Cup, picked up a squad which they have all acknowledged were not good at anything.
Yeah.
And already, I think the honeymoon period, if there even was one, I think it probably evaporated here at Twickenham when we were both here for that Scotland game when they lost.
That's horrendous.
But it's already so negative, and that's a really interesting thing here of how much Steve Borthwick is going to feel that pressure to get this team playing the way he wants it to. I think it's tough. I think England are in a really tough spot. I think they will get better. I think they'll be better than we saw them against Wales. But
I'm not surprised, but I think it is kind of Eddie Jones 2.0. I think people, when Eddie Jones went, were thinking it was going to be real freshened up, and it is the same. I don't have a massive problem with that. And also, this is why I'm not down on England. Look at the draw.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful, and this could come back and bite me on the ass, because Samoa and Japan are handy teams.
Yeah.
But England should just have to bring their A game against Argentina, and they're in a quarter-final against Wales or Australia. So two good performances against teams that they should beat if they play to their best, and they're in a semi-final. I don't know what more England could ask for.
Yeah, but then is that a good World Cup if they play badly but still able to get to that stage? Is it a positive World Cup?
If Ireland get knocked out in a quarter final
and England do better,
and England get to a semi final, I think, bearing in mind the last couple of years, we can only class that as a positive.
Sounds good to me. I think you're about to get pulled away, Tim. So we'll round it up.
Oh right, it's Kevin Sinfield
coming.
Oh right, nice one, Alfie.
Nice one.
Take that off. Give it to Kevin Sinfield. Nice one.
Sorry, I saw them there. I was like, better.